Hello, we're going to learn about arrays. So I have in front of me a very simple application. There's a loop, looping 100 times, and the only line of code in the loop is this draw circle. Now the position of the circle is being calculated at random. Do you see? Here's the x value. It's a random number between 0 and width, same as with the height for the y. The radius is fixed, however. But there's two values are being calculated at random inside the loop, and you see the effect here. Every single frame we get a different position. What I like is that these circles are still randomly generated, but that their positions are consistent between each frame. So if we think about this, I talked about a workaround solution where you just turn off animation. That's not good enough for us now. Let's actually get at the real solution here. So thinking just before I approach this, I cannot be calculating these positions randomly inside of the loop. They need to be calculated beforehand and somehow stored. That's where arrays are going to come in. So if you think about it, these are the things that are going to move out of the array, this OF random, and what I need to do is calculate them at the beginning of the application. So we saw this when we used the OF app to put a float in here, float x, and then we can set that x in here. X is equal to something, 5, and then we can use that x inside of here. That is like the kind of solution that we're going to be using here. X, y, 5. Do you see the problem is that this is just the same x and the same y. So we need a way, instead of like me saying, here's x1, float x2, right? I have 100 elements. This is not the solution here. What I need is a way to say 100 of x. I need a way to say, give me 100 of these things, and that's what arrays are. Exactly what they do. So in C++, we use this thing called a vector. It's a slightly more complicated way than C of doing arrays, but it's the syntax is a little weird, is what I'm trying to say. But it's the sort of just everybody uses this for doing arrays, just because it's a little bit more flexible than the old way of doing things. So here's how the syntax looks. We're going to use these like HTML kind of brackets, these angle brackets. We declare that we're creating an array. That's our that's what this vector word means. What is going inside of the array? What's the variable type? What's the data type? That's the next question it's asking. So we say that by specifying the type inside of these square brackets, float, and just like every variable, we need the name. So these are the x positions, and since there are a lot of them in here, I usually pluralize the name. So we're looking at, it's a weird way of saying, it's like saying x's. It's like my x's, okay? So, but let's say x's. So this is a naming convention that I like, is that all my arrays tend to be named plural like this. So we've got our x's here. There are, we don't know how many of them there are yet. X's, here's our x's, there's our x's array, okay? It's catching up. It has not yet, the compiler is still thinking it's that early one. So here's x's. Let's see if it's caught up yet. So we can refer to our x's array anywhere inside of our application now. Okay, it's still catching up, but and then x's. So here's the thing: is we've got an array of elements. And what I'm telling you is that this is like a this is like vector float x's. Is this? Are we all good here? Let me just double check here. Vector float x's. Yes, it is good. Okay, great. So yeah, we have not declared y's yet. Okay, it does not know. So x's is a container of floats. When I say the word x's, that is the name of the variable. There it is. Now the compiler's caught up. The computer knows that we're pointing at a collection of things. Now, how do we talk about a certain item inside of that collection. We need a way of saying, give me this one that's inside of there and this one that's inside of there. And part of the just a fundamental like property of arrays is that they are an ordered list. They're in order. Order meaning it's not just like a classroom of students all kind of like sitting in chairs. Like you can try to find an order, but no, there is a strict order. I think of it like the pages of a book where each page has a unique number. And if I was to tell you like go to page, you know, if somewhere in the middle, something like 400 or 410, then everybody would be able to open up and find that exact, we're all like pointing to the same spot. So that's how computers do it. They we give a number to each of these elements. They're ordered and they start, here's the wild thing, they start with the number 0. Okay, so this is the syntax we use. Do you see the square brackets? Here's the variable name, this is the container, and then this is good enough to talk about the container. We can talk about the container and do things like maybe sort it or, I don't know, like remove elements, add elements. But if we want to talk about a thing inside of it, we need to put these square brackets and then which number? This is like the page number again. 10, this works, you know, whatever. 0. 0 is the first element. That's going to take a little bit of getting used to. Yeah. All right. So we want to store our x values inside of here. We haven't done it. We still have a few steps we need to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be doing like x's of 0 and 1 and 2. Like I'm going to be pulling out the floats inside of here. Right. So that's how we're looking ahead. That's how this is going to be used. We still haven't made the y's yet. We still need to fill this important part. We still need to fill that array. So if you think about it conceptually, just you remember like our random numbers were being generated in the draw loop. We need them to happen beforehand inside of setup. Setup is where the setup only runs once. So okay, so as I mentioned, this is referencing the container. This is referencing an element in the container. The container right now is empty. I need to add elements to it. Push back is the function that we're needing. This is remember, as I mentioned, they're ordered elements. There's a small detail about like when we add an element to an array, to this container, are we adding it to the end or the beginning or somewhere in the middle or something? It's gonna make your life easier if you just, for the moment, stick with just adding things to the end of the array. It's something that we do. It's how you use them most of the time anyway. So there's no. This is like actually the most popular use case for it. So pushback is the C++ way of saying add this to the end of the array. So pushback. What are we adding into here? We're adding floats, right? So floats. We're adding. We can just like this. This will work. Pushback 4.05. Right. We're making. I want to do is random number. So of random of get width, of random of of get width. This will push back a random number into our array. This is it. This is exactly what we want. We want to do this 100 times though. So this line, if I can put this inside of a loop for int I equals 0, I is less than 100, I equals I plus 1. Now we're adding 100 random numbers into our XS's loop, or to our XS's array, sorry, using a loop. That's it, that's great. Okay, I still need to take care of the Y's, but just thinking about the X's, how am I going to use this inside of here? I need this to be, remember, this is how we access the elements inside of it, 0, 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 99. 100 elements, 0 to 99. I need this number to change. We're learning about loops right now, but this number, do you remember the I is this variable that is this number that goes every time in the loop, 0, then it's 1, then it's 2. This is what we want to put inside of here. So anytime the I, any time in the loop, any iteration, this I is going to be one of those numbers, 55, 20, like 0 to 99. That's exactly what we want. So every time through this loop, y's of I, and we got to make y's. So let's just do that real fast. We'll make y's. Okay, copy, paste, save, copy, paste, y's, and then anytime you copy, and anytime you see a width for the x, you gotta change it for the height, and then y is here. Okay, so let's run this just to double check. Hopefully it works. I think this is all that we need. Yes, looks great. Okay, quick review. We're generating random numbers outside of the draw loop, so that when we draw the circle, we're just referencing variables that have already been stored. These variables are created here. They are arrays. Each vector contains, at this moment, no floats, but it knows that it's supposed to contain the variable type floats. I say there's no floats in here. When you create an array, it's created as empty. This is how we add elements to that array. I put it inside the loop so that it does it 100 times. And then this is maybe the biggest leap here, like using this I to access at every iteration in the loop. We're accessing the element, then the next element, then the next element. We go down the line until we reach the end. Okay, I think this is it. Let me know if you have questions. Thanks.